All right, we're back for another Know Your Enemy. Let's talk about what to watch for from a Ravens point of view. We've got Ken McKusick from Film Study Ravens back with us. Ken, you did such a great job week one breaking down the Jets and Ravens. We had to bring you back, so welcome back. Now let's get straight into it because Saquon Barkley is a man on a mission this year. How can the Ravens stop 2-6?
Big challenge for the Ravens. They haven't had a great run defense this year. Certainly have the tradition of great run defense in Baltimore that was based a lot on Ray Lewis and then C.J. Mosley after him that produced 21 straight years of under 4 yards per carry to start the franchise history. Since then, the Ravens have become more focused on pass defense, and a lot of times you have to make compromises in the NFL these days. They have some real tackling issues at inside linebacker that persist. They have lost Michael Pierce, who was a huge man up front for them in terms of stopping the run. So Travis Jones will have to play well. They're a good pursuit to the ball team, but they certainly have weaknesses, and stopping Barkley is going to have to be a big part of how they approach this game.
Yeah, Saquon's doing a great job of making guys miss and the yards after contact. He's truly making or having an impact on the game. Let's talk about one of your players who has an impact on the game, Mark Andrews. What type of game do you see him having?
Well, he's the focal point of the offense right now, that's for sure. He's always Lamar's first target and usually his last option too, which is kind of a tough combination for him. His statistics in terms of yards per target are down a little bit, even though he had a good game this week. But that's because he is the chuck it up for Andrews when all other things fail option, which means he's getting a lot of reduced value targets on the margin. But he's very effective, holds onto the football when he catches it. It means he's not dislodged by a hit is what I'm really talking about. Takes a lot of big hits in the middle of the field. Really good hive mind with Lamar in terms of his ability or their ability to know where the other is going to be and where the other wants to throw the ball. And that's been fun to watch. The Ravens have less receiving options now. They really put a lot of the offense in the hands of Devin Duvernay this last week, both running and as a receiver. He's been terrific. That won't continue in terms of the efficiency on a per touch basis. But I do like the fact that they've lined him up in the backfield as well as on the outside.
But does this Giants defense concern you?
It does in the sense that it's a lot of big bodies against an offensive line that's a little smaller at left guard and at center. They have Kevin Zeitler, who's big, and they have Moses, who just had a great run blocking game this last week. And hopefully we see Ronnie Stanley back for more snaps. He played 22 snaps in his game back on Sunday night against the Bengals, 3 drives. The Ravens scored 10 points on those drives. Hopefully he'll be back for more time. I think that he's the big domino in terms of the Ravens offensive line really functioning properly. And if he's on the field for 45 to 50 snaps this game, that would be a big step forward, and I expect the line will be good. That said, there's 2 things about the Ravens run game. First of all, unless you've actually played the Ravens run game, there's not a lot of meaning to the run stats. The Steelers have come into games with great run stats against the Ravens, and they've had a lot of difficulty stopping them in those games. The Giants are set up to do so. They have some tackling issues of their own at linebacker, obviously, but Jalen Smith is good. And they have certainly very big men up front, and Leonard Williams and whatnot. But you have a defensive line, I think, that is certainly good enough to give the Ravens fits, and they don't have their really great speed option at running back this week. So Justice Hill, who was really threatening the outside, the Ravens, I think I've mentioned before in the Jets preview, really like to stretch the line of scrimmage in terms of where their threats are, which makes Lamar Jackson all that much more effective. So. Ravens are going to be missing some things, missing some elements in terms of offensively what they can do. Obviously, Bateman, you probably know, is injured as well.
Well, the Giants defense do have the man, the myth, the legend, Wink Martindale, who's a familiar face down there in Baltimore. And you mentioned the man of the hour, Lamar Jackson. Do you see him having a big game against this Giants defense?
I think it's important that he does. I think this is a game that Lamar has to do some things and make some plays because the Ravens are otherwise a little shorthanded offensively. I expect him to run the ball. He usually is now a run middle threat where they run out a sidecar, and his area now to try and probe and find a spot when he's in the mesh is in the middle of the field. The Ravens have been pretty effective with the combination of counters, jet motion, and having a good sidecar back that can threaten the other outside edge to spread that defense horizontally and allow Jackson opportunities. A lot of times other teams run themselves out of position against the Ravens, which has created some good run opportunities. But at running back, J.K. Dobbins has not been back and playing full time yet. So we see if he picks up a heavier workload. Kenyon Drake took a lot of carries this last week. He was okay. He hasn't really been that good this season before this last game. So hopefully the Ravens can figure out some sort of a cobbled together running back scheme for this week.
Yeah, they could definitely lighten the workload for Lamar Jackson, who leads the team both rushing and passing. Last but not least, how do you see this game going?
Well, I hate score predictions, so let me just try and come up with one player I think that really could make a big impact. The guy who's coming in for Marcus Williams is Geno Stone, and he'll play on the back end at free safety, I expect, in this game. He is a really underrated player in the league in terms of being a guy who can play a bracket safety, whether it's loose or tight, on an as-needed basis. And if I had a dark horse guy to make a real big contribution to this game and not have a big fall off from the loss of Marcus Williams, it would be Stone.
As long as you didn't say Justin Tucker, I'm all smiles, because you know what that means. Ken, thanks again for joining us, my man.
Happy to do it.